logistic industry for more than 16 years, Mr. Naveen Prakash. We are very much honored to have you amidst us, sir. Thanks for accepting our invite within a very short notice. You have been very cooperative and understanding, and thanks a lot for accepting to share your knowledge and information with all of us here. Thanks once again, sir. I now request Lishma ma'am to introduce our guest.
So, good morning, one and all. It's my privilege to introduce our resource person of today. Mr. Naveen Prakash is the co founder of Global Logistics, a company engaged primarily in LCL consolidation, freight forwarding, and project logistics since its inspection in 2006. Global Logistics is located in 16 locations across India with an employee strength of 300 logistic professionals. After completing his bachelor in economics from Madras Christian College, he worked for two leading logistics firms like Freight System Limited and All Cargo Global Logistics. For more than 15 years, he is being leading Consolidated Association of India, Chennai chapter as president. With his network of more than 2,500 MSME customers and international logistic network, he has good insight about industry opportunities and challenges. I'm handing over the session to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the generous introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, thanks to Dr. Beena to give me the opportunity to come in front of all of you. Secondly, to the management of S.A.Engineering College, especially Department of Management Studies. Thank you very much for the invite, and most importantly for all the participants to tune up, even though you do not know me, most of you. But I think the introduction must have given some kind of a idea about my personal experiences in logistics. So yes, almost 25 years in logistics sector now. I joined the industry in 96. So yeah, almost 25 years. So today the topic given to me is logistical challenges and preparedness while doing unlocking India. As all of us know that 1st of June, the unlocking of India is announced till 30th of June. That is the unlocking 1.0. And already the central government is preparing themselves for 2.0. Today morning, it was in the news that certain states are discussing. However, in our own mother state, we have to be a little bit more cautious. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll be going into a lockdown session. So I asked doctor if I can change the topic. He said, no, it's the audience is all India. In fact, we have some audience from overseas as well. So we'll stick to a topic, and we will, according to my presentation, I will go ahead with that. So thanks a lot again, and with your permission, I'm going ahead with the presentation. So today is 18th of June 2020, and it won't be wrong to say because of this coronavirus, the world is under recession. I would also like to thank Dr. Jayaprasad, Mr. Jayaprasad, who was giving the lecture yesterday, and he spoke about depression. And I want to thank him, first of all, for creating the awareness of difference between recession and depression, because at this moment, we are in the time of recession. And we all know that we have gone through this time before also in the history, notably during the World Wars, the World War I, II, and during 9/11, the attack in New York, when the attack was made, and there was a severe impact on the economies. Because of that, some other wars started, like the Gulf War and things like that was happening. So because of that, a lot of recession happened. And more importantly, there's another kind of recession. The reasons for recession is the bank frauds. So for example, US especially has been dependent a lot on the stock exchange and the banking system for the economy and their GDPs and the numbers. And of course, US is #1 economy in the world. People say that if they catch cold, the world catches pneumonia. So it is like that. So definitely the subprime crisis in 2008, 2009 is also called as global economic crisis, which created the all over the world markets to fall. And we had faced recession situations that time also. Also during the oil wars, basically oil is a very commodity which is traded a lot across the world. Energy, without energy, we can't do anything. Even as a human being, we need energy. You can imagine oil is one of the most used resources, and oil and crude in whatever manner, and without that controls a lot of power in the market. So any artificial or the real wars of oil wars also create recession situations. But now at this time, say from November 2019, December 2019, and until now, we are facing a different type of issue because of which the recession has fallen upon us. That basically is what we call it the pandemic. We only heard of the word pandemic, but I don't think we must have personally experienced in this particular generation what a pandemic really is. So before also we had pandemic situations like the SARS in Hong Kong and parts of US and China, where the disease was very quickly contained and the overall economical impact, especially on China, was only 1% and rest of the globe was not even touched. But this particular coronavirus pandemic has really played a havoc across the world. 180 countries reporting that they have some impact of coronavirus either through disease or through their economies. So definitely we are in recession now, and recession also means that we have a issue of fiscal deficit, meaning that our taxes are lower than our expenses, and so on and so forth. So just to give an idea that we are in time of economic situation, and definitely it's a challenge. So why I'm trying to say is that to establish that we are in a challenge, number one, because of this particular virus. And preparedness, to be very frank, before, even if we go to the last slide, I would like to say that no country in the world can claim that they were prepared for this kind of a situation to happen, and they were prepared to handle this kind of situation. So preparedness is what I'm talking about, would be in the further slides. So first establishing the challenge, then we talk about the preparedness. So if you see, the lockdown in India was announced in a couple of phases. On 24th of March, in fact, at 8 p.m., the Prime Minister announced that the lockdown would be for 21 days up to 14th of April, which was studied how the disease is spreading and how the impact is. And depending on that, the decision was taken to further extend by 19 days from 15th to 3rd of May. During 3rd of May and during the 4th May, the lockdown was a little bit eased up, but it wasn't for the affected areas. And in fact, there was some respite in certain sectors that we could go out, and we don't. It was not regulated so tightly because the economy was getting hurt, and we had a lot of crisis of the migrant laborers to move from one state to another state, and various challenges. And the country had already faced a lockdown of almost 40 days. So the government gives a little bit of a relaxation during the phase 3, but of course the manufacturing hadn't taken place, which is the backbone of our economy, because even though we have the major labor force in the agricultural area, but it's hardly contributing around 18 to 20% of our GDP. So we're talking about phase 3, 4th of May. Again, it wasn't satisfactory for the government, so they said that we're going to have one more lockdown of 18th May to 31st May to contain the disease. That is the prime concern of the government, to save lives. Then we think about the economy. So it's almost a period of 65 to 70 days. Indian economy is not so, we're not so isolated that we can be under lockdown period for more than 30 days. So 60 days is a very big stretch the government had taken, and the economy really had felt the impact. So based with the feedback and with the pressure, the unlocking of India was announced on June 1st till June 38th, which is under study now. So what were the logistic challenges, and what was the impacts on us, and how we are looking to overcome it? So first of all, let's try to define what is logistics. As we simply put, logistics is a commercial activity by a transporter like me to transport the goods to the customer. So the customer could be anyone who needs these goods. So I deliver these commodities or the customer requirements by 3 modes which are known to everyone. That is the surface, either by road, or I take by rail, or I take to the waterways. That basically is the international routes, in the ocean routes. And of course, a lot of countries, even in India also to a certain extent, we are connected to the rivers from in different hinterland points, and I can reach the customer's goods by water also. There is also an established route of air travel by air cargo mode. We also have the international, and we also have the domestic air mode. Sometimes we have to combine these modes of transportation, which we also call it multimodal transportation or combined logistics, through which we use 1 or 2 modes to ensure that my customer receives the goods that he wants. So basically, that is a very simplistic definition of logistics. So lockdown and its impact on trucking. So basically in India also, why trucking is so important, why I'm talking about trucking number one topic during for this particular presentation is that in India still 60 to 70% of a freight is carried by trucks. The other modes being the rail system, and also we're talking about the tiny bit of it by air. So 60 to 70% of load is carried by the trucks. So this was the sector which was highly impacted because of the lockdown, and we're going to see how they're going to improve themselves during the unlocking period, how they're going to accept the challenge in the unlocking period. So if you can see, primarily we still, if you can see the previous picture, it looks definitely not India, but this definitely is India. So we all identify these pictures wherever we are traveling. So this is what how transportation looks like. So if you can see on 24th of March at 8 p.m. when the lockdown was announced for the first time, it was a very intense lockdown, meaning no individual can move from any place to other, and they can't even leave their homes. So how would a transporter operate during this time? During this time, there was not much time given to the transporters and their respective drivers to move about. So a lot of drivers had waited in the vehicles, expecting some reinforcement to come, somebody to give them food or send them money, and they can have a place to rest. But that wasn't happening at all. So what happened is that in India, there are a lot of small-time trucking operators. So the drivers could not wait further, and they had to leave the trucks wherever it is, and they had to find their way home. So, but of course, certain other organizations arrange the passes for the vehicles, and they could go at least to the destination where they're supposed to reach. And when they reached there, they just got stuck there because the movement of people wasn't still allowed. So this particular issue caused a severe shortfall of drivers. So during the phase 3, as I said, on 4th of May, the restrictions were eased a little bit, and government started issuing passes for the vehicles, especially to move the essentials and the exempt cargo. That is the time when we really felt the impact of the transportation, the transportation and the contribution made by these humble drivers and these particular players of economy. They call the wheels of the economy, because that time we had only availability of 5% of drivers to take all these cargoes from point A to point B. But obviously, for 30 days almost there was no production, so it is not that we had a major impact, but still whatever cargo was there, this has to be moved only by these 5% drivers. And because of this, there are a lot of challenges that we faced, especially the escalation of the prices, because there's so much of less supply of the vehicles and the demand was so huge. Obviously, being students of management economics, we know the dynamics of supply and demand. So obviously, the demand was huge, the vehicle was very, very small, so the prices really shot up. So prices really being shot up did not mean transporters made huge profits, but because they were only operating 5 to 10% of their fleet, basically meaning they're still in losses. So how about the preparedness now? Basically, once the unlocking has started from 1st of June. Unlocking has started on 1st of June, but as I said that the transporters are still not in a position to bring all the drivers, pay them in advance, and put the fuel in the vehicle and go to the customers the same way that they used to do earlier. Because due to the competition or whatever it is, customers really enjoy a credit line of say 60 to 90 days from the transporters, 30 days being normal. But bigger customers can negotiate better because they have long-term contracts, they have assured businesses. So the drivers or the owners of the vehicles were not ready. So what all vehicles were you could see moving from 4th of May until today. It is not that because drivers are putting their vehicles and they're telling people to take from us. It's because the customers demand. My customers say that I can't wait any longer. I want this cargo to move. So customers were willing to have taken certain steps. Basically, their preparedness on the demand side. Basically, they wanted these vehicles. So they were prepared in a way to pay their vendors maybe in 30 days or maybe in advance payment. Customers also explored various options of making the payment online, meaning to find transporter company online companies. And they also had customers who were willing to pay very high price for moving these trucks. So it was almost, as I said, the demand is so high and supply of vehicle is so less. So whoever pays more, they were able to move it. So, and customers are also willing to give some additional facilities which was recommended by the government and also the trucking owners, that once my driver comes there, at least he must have some facility to have some food or hygiene or place to rest, because there is no other hotels or dhabas open for my drivers. So customers who all agreed for this, on the demand side, basically their cargoes are moving. So even today you see a truck moving on the road, it is not because of, it's only because of the essentials or the customers who are able to afford these trucks. Still, they are not available at the older prices and older system of demand and supply. So I could talk something a little bit more about the impact and what are the trucking companies trying to do differently. Several trucking companies tried different strategies to lure the drivers, but nothing worked, causing huge logjams across ports in India. So what happened was that since drivers were not reporting for moving these cargoes, especially the EXIM container cargoes, the all the import containers could not be moved from the ports to the CFs or ICDs or even to the consignee factories. This caused all the ports in India, major ports in India, to get completely jammed with the containers there. And also because the factories were closed this time, a lot of export orders got cancelled, or the exporter itself could not manufacture the goods. So this created one impact, that the foreign ships which usually come to India to leave the import cargoes and take the export cargoes, they are not in a position to call Indian ports. So this has caused a lot of cancellation of the ships which is coming to India. Unfortunately, this situation is not going to become better for the transporters. The reason being that 85% of the truck owners are basically single owners or small transportation companies. So they are not there. It's a highly fragmented business. And number two is that to reach to their customers is very difficult, because now we all know today I'm talking here and giving a lecture or talking about our whatever I'm doing it is because of technology. So this technology definitely is lacking with 85% of the trucking companies. There is no communication flow, especially between the drivers and the truck owners, and also if the cargo is laden, how would the customer know where the cargo is? So there is a lot of communication challenges this trucking companies are facing at this moment of time, which is the need of the hour, if I say, because these cargoes are either essential cargoes or these are the cargo very high value cargoes. So in this, there is no compromise to be made. So people are going for established organization at the trucking companies. So as you know that a lot of online companies are there, like Rivigo or Blackbird. Customers want that kind of a service. Most of the trucking companies are debt ridden because they take their vehicles based on the bank loans, and it all on a cycle. They get payment from the customer, they pay the bank loan, they pay the driver, they pay the fuel. Also, they have a credit system with the fuel companies, and it just goes off. And because of this, it's on a very low margin business. And at this moment of time, they do not have the capital to come back to the business. So all this is a recipe for difficult times for the transportation companies, and they're not able to pivot. This word has become very common now. Is pivoting basically is to turn 180 degrees or 360 degrees, totally different way to handle situation and to prepare ourselves better. So only way it could change the transportation system is long-term structural and policy changes, where more people have to get organized, and they must be coming under a net where formal banking system can be in a position to support them. So that's about trucking. Let's jump into the next mode of transportation, basically the domestic air business. So why I brought it up trucking to air? Because in India, the alternative to trucking in India is not inland waterways or maybe railways. Because railways again still is done mainly by the government, Concur Container Corporation of India, and there's some private rail operators. But the changing habits of the customer is not so quick, and moreover, it does not give you much time in terms of transit availability. And there's also one more issue of first mile and last mile connectivity to the rail operations in India. So this is the reason I brought air. What I'm trying to establish here is that certain cargoes which could not be moved by truck have moved by air. So these airlines, as we know that in India, only Blue Dart is one of the air cargo companies. Rest of the airlines passenger, they only carry passengers. So over here, what we're trying to show is that this is a very organized sector, and they have hardly any competition. So during the lockdown, Blue Dart and SpiceJet did a lot of business because again, essential commodities had to be moved, and these were planned on trucks, but these airlines were available. What they had done is that they use the technology. They use the technology to give the online quotation to online booking to all their customers. They had the online presence to do the marketing also to the customers that they are available to take these cargoes. They have a communication flow which is completely mapped to the track and trace system, which they had already built for their passenger system, and Blue Dart is already operational in their cargo system. So they were able to get a lot of business from them. And they were also able to offer a door-to-door service. As I said, after 4th of May, the restrictions were eased. So they had tied up with small trucking companies which would give a door-to-door service along combined with the air freight business. So with a turnaround of 48 hours time, TAT, between any major airport to another major airport. So for example, if I had to bring in some masks from Bangalore, I had to take it to Bombay from 3M. So these were given service door to door within 48 hours by these airlines. Obviously, customers were willing to pay the premium cost because of the premium service. Now, to go from Bangalore to Bombay, it would take 5 to 6 days or 4 days, but the air was going on the same day deliveries. So they really benefited it. It really grew a lot because of the absence of trucking for 60 days. The cargoes are all COVID essentials, and they converted the passenger aircraft into the cargo aircraft. Basically, that means they were carrying your cargo on the seats, which is available because the passenger is not allowed. And basically, this concept also has come to known as globally now. The new term in logistics is called P2C aircrafts, basically passenger to cargo aircrafts. So you're carrying cargo and passenger aircrafts. So there are also passengers. Flights started. As of now, we know the last 15 days, a lot of passenger flights have started. And that means there's more space available in the belly of the aircraft. As you know that budget airlines like SpiceJet and all those things, they will not allow you to carry more than 15 kgs of your personal baggage and hand baggage not more than 7 kgs. That means they still have a good amount of space in their belly of the aircraft where they can carry your commercial cargoes or what do you call as manufacturing goods or whatever it is. So basically it was preferred mode of transportation, and they were prepared. Basically, this particular business was prepared to take advantage of this particular situation. And moreover, the reason customers like to move through this mode, and they made a new habit out of it also because it is going fast, it is safe, zero inventory, and they have because of zero inventory, they have a better cash flow, and cash flow is the bloodstream today. And why I'm saying all these things, because as Global Logistics, we are one of the companies which is highly involved in this particular side of business, and we have seen our organization, this particular business has grown leaps and bounds during this COVID scenario. Okay, coming back to the most traditional form of moving the logistics to EXIM. The moment we say logistics and EXIM, we only think about container and a ship. That's the first thing. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because any letter of credit open between any shipper and buyer, they would always say 99% it's only by ocean. Air is the last mode of transportation because of the time constraint or the emergencies if the preparation of the cargo is delayed. So this is what picture comes to our mind. So ocean freight, global volumes had come down by 25% in the month of April globally, but we're expecting it to fall further as the COVID is still not contained and the economies are still getting under recession. As we spoke in the opening slide, yes, we are in recession. Recession means less demand and less money for the people to buy things. So it's going to go further down. And because of that, what happened is that the shipping lines stopped calling their vessels. What in point 3, if you can see, what you call a blank sailing. For a ship to go from China to Europe, it has to cross either Pacific or they have to cross the Atlantic. So these routes on a single route, which takes around 35 to 42 days of transit time, the vessel has to call each and every port on a weekly basis. So on a particular loop, they have minimum 8 to 12 vessels. So that on a week-on-week basis, these vessels call these ports and is continuing for forever. So when I talk about a particular loop of shipping line, for example, I say the Nemo service. Nemo service basically was a service between Chennai, India, and the western ports of India going directly into Europe. and it used to come all the way from Australia. That's the kind of loop, it is the longest loop in the world. So for that kind of loop, you must have 10 to 12 ships continuously going there. So every ship calls here on a fixed day basis. Like they call Indian port on Wednesday, they discharge all the imports, and they leave Indian port on Friday or Saturday. So what happened was that the shipping line said, okay, now the volumes have dropped. Let us cut these vessels. If I'm in a loop, I have 11, 12 vessels, let it make it 8 or let it make it 6. So this is called something called a blank sailing. Because of blank sailing, they reduce the space artificially, and they reduce the supply of the ships artificially. And of course, when the supply is less and demand is more, the prices have gone up. So this is the particular change. Again, the people who are loading all these vessels are the people who are prepared, who knew that this is what is going to be the impact, and my cargo is essential and it has to move. So also the option of not moving by air, because the air freight costs are almost 10 times more in the world now. So in the EXIM business. So this is also caused a lot of hardship to the Indian exporters and importers, because a lot of ships are not calling in Indian ports on a week-to-week basis. Okay, so ocean freight and post-unlocking preparedness. Basically, we all just summarizing that we are in a time of global recession. There are a lot of bankruptcies happening, especially in US. We have already heard of big companies like J.Crew, JCPenney, True Religion, and so on and so forth. Even in Europe, also we have some bankruptcies in UK and Germany. So because of this, what has happened is that there's very less vessels going across the world, and of course there are certain businesses which are doing better. Still, that very few businesses doing better. So this is what has caused even reduced imports also in our country, especially the automobile sales have gone down. India is a major importer of automobile spare parts. India is a major importer of newsprint, which comes in very bulk volume. White goods like our refrigerators and our air cons, we have reduced the import of that. And because there's no factories working and functional now, the demand for energy also has gone down. So coal import also has come down a lot. So of course, the sectors which are doing better, and they're all export oriented, especially the pharmaceuticals. We know India is one of the biggest pharmaceutical exported during this time of COVID, and essentials are getting imported, especially the masks, the gloves are getting exported from India. So there is a lot of activity in this particular sector. As of course, medical diagnostics and electronics, of course, it is picking up slowly. So in my concluding slide, I would just like to say that the shipping lines, how they preparing themselves. It's not prepared. As I said, nobody could have prepared themselves better for this particular challenge. But how they're preparing themselves with the shipping lines are using the excellent use of blank sailing to control the market supply in order to achieve profitability targets, because they're expected to make $25 billion loss in 2020. Trucking companies, the choice of better paying customers, again, as it's a demand driven, drivers are able to negotiate better employment terms. So this is one good thing for the drivers now, because they are able to negotiate better employment terms in terms of salaries, the facilities, safety. However, with this crisis, the trucking business, 30 to 40% might be out of business by the time the COVID completely leaves us. Airline business is the most challenged business for this by the coronavirus. The impact has been straight on the face. They'll be losing around $80 billion in 2020. And a lot of airlines, starting from Virgin Atlantic in Australia to Flybe in UK and US, there's so many airlines who already filed the bankruptcies. Last week we heard that Emirates.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Mr. Naveen, excuse me.
Yeah.
Your slide could not be seen. PPT slides is not visible.
Nothing is visible?
Yes, you're only seen on the screen.
Okay.
PPT could not be seen by the audience.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's okay. Disinterpretation.
Yes.
You see now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the. I'll share this slide with you. It's shareable, so not a problem. So you can.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. So I'm almost done with my presentation. So Yeah, so my last words are that basically what could really prepare us is the digitalization, which ensures that we use our existing data of our customers so that we get back to them and say that we're ready for the business and we're prepared to handle your business. That basically digitalization and automation, definitely for to telling our customers that uh, we don't have to be physically present in the office to take care of the business. We can work remotely and everything is automated. How the airlines have used passenger to cargo, how the shipping lines have blank sailings to avoid more losses. And more importantly, we always have to keep ourselves motivated and we have to keep ourselves, we have to be very kind to ourselves during the situations. And just to close, uh, we cannot be fully prepared, but definitely failing to prepare even after knowing the impact is preparing to fail, as said by Mr. Benjamin Franklin. Also, John C. Maxwell says that if you are proactive, you focus on preparing. If you're reactive, you end up focusing on preparing. So, thanks so much for your time. And can I close it now, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Audience, you can please post your questions in the
Yeah,
chat
sure.
box, or also you can open your audio and ask the guest speaker your questions.
Good morning, Mr. Naveen.
Hi, good morning.
Uh, this is Dr. Ajay from S.A.Engineering College.
Hi, doctor.
Yeah, just wanted to know, sir, you have spoken about the challenges what the logistics industry. Now, in your opinion, what will be the opportunities which you is there install in future for after this post-COVID in logistics industry? Just wanted to know that.
So as I said that the opportunities would be only for the people who are prepared, unfortunately, because we opened the slide there with recession. Recession means that there would be less demand, and less demand and more suppliers. Obviously, it is not going to be a very favorable situation for logistic companies in a short term. There are traditional logistic companies, but the markets and dynamics are going to change. As we know, because of this situation, there will be a lot of increase in e-commerce, especially the e-commerce companies like Amazon and the Flipkarts and all this thing. We don't want to go to a mall or a shop to get ourselves infected, or we don't want to be in the crowd. So you want everything to be delivered home. So there's also a part of logistics, which is going to see a very big uptick. And these logistic companies cannot operate from the traditional warehousing system. A traditional warehousing system is hardly 10,000 square feet per warehouse. There is almost 80 to 90% of the warehousing system. There's a lot of scope for this to change. So definitely I would encourage people who are looking for careers in logistics, they can look at supply chain management, they can look at e-commerce, and they can do it, yeah, retail companies and the big warehousing companies. So that is where the opportunities are lying. For traditional companies, definitely they have to go 100% online. They have to go for a lot of technical upgradations, and they have to do a lot of mindset changing. So also, traditionally we work on credit system, which is not going to work because cash flows is going to be a bloodstream of the company. Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. So I just wanted to say that the opportunities are very few, but the big opportunities. Like today, Ecom Express in the newspaper, if you open today, they said that they're going to hire 7,000 new employees for
Okay.
any company. Yeah. So there is a lot of uptick going to be in the reefer system. Yes, if any established logistic company, they are not doing anything to do with pharmaceuticals, there is going to be a very big business for them. Any logistic companies who have the capacity to handle high value goods, then they can go for this diagnostics product, because each diagnostic machine is 1.5 to 2 crores. So there is a lot of scope in specialized sectors. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome.
So there is a question.
Sure.
Sir, what do you think about e-commerce alternative payment methods through e-wallet service? This is a
Right.
question from Monisha Durai Babu.
Right. Right. So e-commerce, as I said, that there's a very big scope for e-commerce. Most of us know Alibaba, and we know this company has grown so big, so big. Also, because of the reason being uh, SARS. SARS in Hong Kong. Similarly, what is we having today of COVID or coronavirus? Similar virus was there in China and Hong Kong, and because of that, a lot of online trading happened, and because of that, Alibaba has also grown a lot. Similarly, in India also, because of this particular scenario, e-commerce companies, especially the established ones in India like Flipkart and Amazon, these are the companies that are really going to grow. As long as the e-wallets payment system is concerned, 100%, this is one of the payment system portals which have to get which have to be used a lot by the customers, and also by the suppliers who should be in a position to accept the payment through the e-commerce channels. One aspect that I want to tell you also, I was listening to a very senior banker yesterday, and the senior banker said that one of the ways a small organization, let us say your organization whose turnover is like 20-25 lakhs a year, maybe 2 lakhs per month. One of the ways to do your business without getting a banking loan is basically using your personal credit card or the corporate credit cards for your business. Basically, credit card payment is done in 45 days. So you need to find your vendors who are in a position to accept payment through your credit cards. So if, for example, my company, we have almost 300 people, and we have very senior people in the organization. So we have the corporate credit cards. So they have a huge value on that. But since we only used to use that when we used to travel overseas, so a flight ticket would cost big, and the hotel cost will be big. So imagine if I'm in a position to pay my electricity bill through my corporate credit card. So I'm not spending my cash for 45 days from my company's system. So yes, we have to definitely start using other e-wallet and payment systems. It is the future basically. Digital money is the future. Okay. Any other
Sir,
question? Yeah.
sir, what are the skills is required to become a logistic professionals?
Okay. May I know what you're doing?
So I'm a professor, sir. I need to give
Okay,
a
sorry.
guidelines to my students.
I'm so sorry. Okay, that's a student's question. Okay. To be very frank, whenever talking about the skills in logistics, like any other professional organization, the skills are definitely your something that you would learn only on the job. You can never learn skills. I mean, sorry to say, I'm talking to a college, but definitely you will only get knowledge in the colleges and when you're studying. So definitely, we know three important aspects to be successful in any industry. Now, I will definitely talk about logistics. Is that we look at ASK, basically skills and knowledge. So your attitude is very, very important. If you have clarity of mind that you want to work only in logistics industry, you're not coming here because you did not get a job anywhere else. Number two is that what you're talking about is knowledge. Whatever your knowledge is providing, and if they're giving you a knowledge about logistics, we have maximum energies to learn those aspects in colleges. Because when you're going to be looking for a job, they're going to assess what knowledge you gained when you were in college. So not only the formal education, but formally online or getting in touch with the professionals on platforms like LinkedIn, where people are sharing their about logistics. We learn and we make connections, and more importantly, skills you would learn on the job only. So your skills will get enhanced much faster if your attitude is that logistics is the place that you want to go. Number two, you have the knowledge about the product, and you are also getting knowledge from the people who from the industry while you're in the college. So definitely, that's going to be a success. Mantra I would say for you to be successful in logistics.
Thank you, sir. And this is the question raised by Deepa Rekha Suresh.
Yeah.
If I suppose to start a online business, is
Right.
this at present situation is okay to start it? Whether this will give a profitable to me?
Okay, online business basically is like any other business. There's no right or wrong time to start it. To be very frank, you have to understand how the product or service is going to benefit the customers. You want to provide service to few customers, or you want to provide service to lot more customers. What is your it's end of the day, it's a business. So the business principle remains same. It is online or offline. Business principle is that you have certain functions in the business. You have something called marketing, you have something called sales, you have something called operation, then you have the HR, then you have the management, then you have the R&D. So you have to ensure that all these are in place to start a business. Online business today should not be seen as something new. Online business is something which should be ordinary, because there is the only way for us to do business at this moment of time. Because I am having a company in Nungambakam. I am staying in Velachery. Okay, so I cannot go to office. So whatever I'm doing today for last 75, 80 days is all online. So I understand what you're trying to say is that online retailing business, but definitely there's going to be very, very normal. But only thing is that you have to ensure that you know the business principles to start business. So,
Thank you,
yeah,
sir.
yeah.
And this question is raised by Bharati Arun. What is the role of AI in logistics?
Okay, excellent question. AI in logistics is basically, for example, uh, what is AI? AI is something that the machine start learning. That's the next level. Machine start learning and it starts talking to me like a human being. So it knows before what I want to do, it tells me what I should be doing. So that is what is AI is about. AI is basically machine learning, and the machine will learn our patterns of activities on the machine. So this is a technology. This is a technology. So what is currently absent is an adaptation of the technology by the existing logistic companies. So it is not that a company which has zero business can come and start a business with AI. It is not going to work out. Existing companies, the platform, existing customers, they have really uh, big bandwidth and they can grow globally. Okay. Now they adapt this technology of AI. They use the data to make the systems as an interface with the customer, and customer feels that yes, I am talking to the same person and same organization, but it's through a machine. So definitely AI is not the front end, definitely is the back end for existing organizations. But somebody wants to start new, they do not have existing customers, they do not have a data. I do not know how it really would work. So AI has to be at the back end for a company who has a very big source of existing business already. So it really works that way. Otherwise, AI without customers is something we talk about the tech companies who need $1 billion of investments. What they do is that they have the technology, but they're spending billions to acquire customers. So we know those are not profitable businesses; they are loss-making businesses. But a traditional business for 30 years, 40 years, with thousands of customers. As I said, my introduction was that we're dealing with 2,500 MSMEs. There are 65 million enterprises in India. So only 2,500 are with me, with whom we deal. Benefits so far. So you can understand the market is so big. So AI definitely. I mean, I'm answering your question in a different way, because if you just have the AI and you want to enter into logistics, you want to implement AI, you're going to give better experience for your customer, and your business is going to grow.
Thank you, sir. So,
Yeah.
what are the future scope of logistic industry, sir? How it's going to rectify after this quarantine period?
See, I mean, yeah, things have to move. Simple as that. Things have to move. You can't manufacture things at home. Of course, your mom can make pizza. Your mom can make the best ice cream. Your dad can bake a best cake in the world. But you have to wear your clothes. You have to wear you have to have a lot of things. You have to have a musical instrument, to be very frank. You want to play a guitar, So uh, unfortunately, we can't do that at home, right? So things have to move. So logistics is 100% essential. We all know that. So definitely, logistics has a future. It's only going to change the way how we do logistics. It's only going to change our patterns of behavior, and our customer experiences has to be improved. That is what it is going to be. The future is definitely there for logistics. India, as our GDP, 15 to 18% of the GDP cost is only for logistics. So there is a portion left for you, India. So rest is agriculture, rest is everything else. So logistics is almost 15 to 18% of the GDP of India. So definitely a scope. for logistics in India. So,
Thank you, sir. I hand over the session to Ajay, sir.
yeah.
Thank you. Sir, before I just propose vote of thanks, I just want to have this is the news which I just saw 2 weeks back. Uh, the Aviation Director General of Aviation has given permission for drone logistics.
Drone.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, you believe that in a country like India, drone logistics will be a successful mantra?
The reason I think it was given because of drone logistics in India, because India wants to become a manufacturing center for drones. So as you know, the drone demand is huge, and our policies of the government of India, which did not allow us to import drones because of the safety and safety reasons and defense reasons, they did not allow import of drones, and a very controlled way of using drones, getting permissions even inside a wedding hall, indoor, outdoor, whatever it is. So we had to get permissions before using drones. So this has really kept India far behind in the drone technology, far behind in the manufacturing side. And because we, as a manufacturer, if I see that nobody going to buy a drone in India because it's not allowed, why should I even spend time with it on this? So it may not be from the aspect of drones coming to logistics to become a part of Indian logistics system. Definitely, what observation is absolutely right. It may not be for drones to become a part of logistics in India, but definitely this policy matter was announced, basically saying that Indian government or the system is not against drones, so it's a drone-friendly zone. So you,
Okay.
so you can come and do your manufacturing and stuff and all. So India wants to become a drone manufacturing hub. So that's the reason. So not for logistics per se.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thanks for that insight,
Thanks a lot.
sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Let me propose the vote of thanks to you.
Thank you.
Deep with great attitude and with heartful, I would like to thank our eminent speaker of the day, Mr. Naveen, who has given the insight into the logistics industry and what is installed for us in the future after post-COVID. I thank you, sir, for giving such an insight, such an informative insight. I would also like to thank our HOD, Dr. G.H. Karina Binu, who has been the guiding force towards all our endeavors. Uh, I would like to thank my colleague, Ms. Lishma, and all my other technical and background support people who are there, who have actually helped me in ensuring this event goes successful. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
I'm over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen.
Thank you,
It
Doctor.
was a very good presentation. A
Thank
lot
you.
of appreciations are there in the chat box.
Oh, really? Okay,
They all
okay.
say that it is good presentation, and one professor by name Gokila was repeatedly saying that it's very nice to see the speaker standing and giving the
Oh, yeah.
presentation. Hats off to you, the professor. I mean, speaker. She was telling, and
Thanks
I
a lot.
wanted to convey that to you also.
Thanks a lot. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
very
Thanks.
much.
I'll
We are
share the
down.
presentation with you. You can share with everybody who participated. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, thank
A
you.
very down to earth. Attitude. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Dr. Santosh from Karnataka.
Thanks. Thank you, Doctor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Naveen. Hari.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, bye. Hari. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you to all my participants. Just wanted to keep you updated for tomorrow's. We will be having a tomorrow session from Mr. Dr. Sunil Kumar, who is basically a lecturer. He's an international lecturer in Oman, Muscat, Oman, and he will be delivering tomorrow's lecture at sharp 11 o'clock. Thank you. This is for your information. Thank you, sir. Participants can, delegates and participants can fill the feedback form. It is in chat box. Ma'am? HOD ma'am.
Sir,
இருக்கீங்களா?
Ajay sir? Ajay sir?
Yes ma'am. Okay
We will stay
ma'am.
back. We will stay back and we will plan for tomorrow.
Yeah ma'am. Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Next.